Today we're going to talk about multiplying and dividing integers. This is much easier than adding and subtracting. The first thing we're going to look at is what it looks like so that we know we're multiplying. Because so far in your math lives, you've seen it like this, 5 times 6. So let's pretend now it's A times B. Well, now I'm going to show you that you can just write the two letters together, AB. That means multiplication. You could put them in parentheses, and that means multiplication. Or you could have one letter in parentheses and the other one not in parentheses. You can also have a dot. I don't like the dot as much because the dot can get mixed up in decimals. 7th graders tend not to be really neat with the way they write, and sometimes their dot might end up coming down here, and then you don't know if it's a decimal or not. These are all the different ways that you might see multiplication written. And then let's just review what the word product means. So product is the answer to a multiplication problem. Okay, so the rules for multiplication are going to be the same for division. We'll just talk about multiplication here and do some examples, and then we'll talk about division. But the rules are easy. When you're multiplying two numbers that have the same sign, your answer will be positive. Two numbers with different signs, answer will be negative. So the rules. And I'm just going to abbreviate multiplying with the X. When multiplying two numbers with the same sign, your answer will be positive. Different signs, answer will be negative. It's pretty easy. There's not a lot to do there. So let's take a look at a couple examples. So let's say we have negative 4 times 2. Remember that they both have parentheses around them, so that means multiplication. Different signs, answer is negative, and then I just multiply. And I get negative 8. How about if I had negative 3 times negative 3? Same signs, answer will be positive, multiply, and you get 9. Okay, so let's take a look now at one other type that you might come across. We'll do a few more examples down here. Sometimes with multiplication you're going to get long strings of numbers. So you might get like negative 2 times 1 times negative 1 times negative 3 times negative 1 times 1. And instead of having to say, okay, negative 2 times 1 would be negative, you can just count the number of negative signs. 1, 2, 3, 4. So count negative signs. If it's an even number, answer is positive. If it's an odd number, answer is negative. So let's go back to our example. We had 1, 2, 3, 4 negative signs. So it's an even number of negative signs, so my answer is going to be positive. And then I just multiply 2 times 3, and I get 6. Much easier than trying to do 2 at a time and figuring out if it's positive or negative. Let's do one more like that. Okay, so in this one, if I count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's an odd number of negative signs, so my answer is going to be negative. I multiply 2 times 3 is 6, times 4 is 24, and I get negative 24. Okay, I'm going to go back here now and do some examples with division. The rules are exactly the same. Negative 18 divided by negative 3 equals 6. 12 divided by negative 4 equals negative 3. Remember, you can show division like a fraction, or you can use your division sign. Let's do negative 2 divided by 1 equals negative 2. So the rules are exactly the same. There's one last thing to tell you about division. Two last things. The answer to a division problem is called a quotient. Just reviewing that term because I know you all know what that is. And the last thing I want you to make sure and know is that you can never divide by 0. And if you try that on your calculator, you're going to get a message that says error, because you cannot divide by 0. So if you have negative 4 and you have a 0 on the bottom, you're going to write undefined. And I want to show you very quickly why this is true. If you had, let's just use positive numbers right now. Let's say we have 12 divided by 3 and you get 4. You can rewrite this. You can say 4 times 3 is 12. 3 times 4 is 12. So if you thought that negative 4 divided by 0 equals 0, 0 times 0 would have to equal 0, and it doesn't. So this is not true. You cannot divide by 0. It will always be undefined.